What's the story about? Now, that's the question that most readers want the answer before they even choose the story. It can be answered in two very different ways. The first one is, what's the story about can mean, what's the main action? For example, it's a superhero who becomes unpopular with ordinary people. That's an answer about the story's plot. What's the story about can also mean, what's the author saying in the story? For example, the author is showing that people can be cruel to those they envy. That's an answer about the story's theme. Today we will learn about the differences between theme and plot and how you can find theme in a story. You'll learn how to identify the theme of a story, or themes, and distinguish between theme and plot, or tell the difference between the two. In a word or a short phrase, list elements of a story that can help you find its themes. When I think of that, I think of plot, character traits or actions, characters' interactions and dialogue or conversations with each other, and author's language. The plot of a story is the action and how the action is organized through the beginning, middle, and ending. The theme of a story is the main idea that the author expresses. A work of literature, or something we read, may have more than one theme. Finding the theme or meaning of a story isn't always easy. In some stories, the author makes the theme obvious, like super obvious. In others, the reader has to kind of think about what the author is trying to say and what the message the author wants the reader to take away from the story. I want to look at a specific genre for just a moment. A genre is just a type of story, and the one I want to look at is called the myth. Myths are ancient stories about gods, goddesses, and heroes, and they were often used to explain natural events or processes. We're going to read the ancient Greek myth Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus and Icarus. The Greek island of Crete was home to a wealthy kingdom of seagoing people. On it lived the great artist Daedalus and his son Icarus. Daedalus built grand palaces and temples for the king. He also designed a fiendishly difficult maze called the Labyrinth. No one could figure out how to get to the center. And in the center dwelled the king's pet monster, a man with the head of a bull called the Minotaur. In exchange for remaining peaceful, the Minotaur demanded a terrible sacrifice from the human race. Every 9 years, the king had to deliver 7 youths and 7 maidens to feed the Minotaur's monstrous appetite. But at last a hero named Theseus sneaked in with the captive young people, reached the center of the maze, and killed the Minotaur. Furious at the loss of his pet, the king blamed Daedalus, claiming that Daedalus had led Theseus into the labyrinth, which wasn't true. So he locked Daedalus and Icarus up in prison. Daedalus used his powerful imagination to figure out how to escape. Watching birds fly one day, he got the idea of making wings for himself and his son. He gathered feathers and glued them together with wax to fashion 2 pairs of wings. "We'll fly through our cell window and escape," Daedalus told Icarus. "But don't fly too near the sun, or its heat will melt the wax, and you'll fall into the sea." The wings worked. Father and son flew into the clear, bright blue sky over the sea, far from the island. Icarus was thrilled. Being young, he was eager for the risk and adventure. He flew higher and higher, tracing wild loops in the sky. Icarus, get down here, Daedalus called out, as the youth rose higher and higher, circling out of control. But it was too late. High above the earth, Icarus felt the sun's warmth spread over his arms and back, and soon the wax began to melt from his wings. Icarus flapped frantically to stay aloft, but his wing feathers were falling all about him, drifting lazily down towards the sea. Then Icarus plunged straight down through the wispy cloudlet of white feathers, crying out for his father. But Daedalus, heartbroken, was too far away to help his beloved son. Icarus fell into the water with a loud splash and was gone. Take a minute to summarize the plot of the story. Many stories have more than one theme. Daedalus and Icarus is an example. If you think about it from a different angle, you can find different lessons or ideas. If you want to help yourself find themes, you can ask questions about what different characters would learn from the events in the story and what you learned from it. So, for example, in our story that we just read, what would Daedalus learn from his son's death? What would Icarus realize as he was falling? What does the story make me understand about life? Look at some of these answers. Which of these could possibly be themes from the story of Daedalus and Icarus? Flying is forbidden to humanity. Be brave, but also be thoughtful. It is foolish to ignore a warning of danger. Parents shouldn't expect too much out of their kids. Well, let's see. Be brave, but be thoughtful. Okay. I would say it took bravery in order to build yourself some wings and try it for the first time of flying. It's foolish to ignore a warning of danger. Icarus's dad did try to warn him. That is true. Parents shouldn't expect too much of their kids. He knew that Icarus was young and he would probably really enjoy the feeling of flying. Now, what I'd like you to do, go into the next folder, 7A Interventions. Read the story that's there and answer questions about plot and theme. When you're done with that, take the short assessment at the end. That'll be all for today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and we will talk some more tomorrow.